Hi, Panda.
Hi, Namor.
Let's do an interlude, but not the full thing.
Yay!
Yeah, we're aiming to do a pretty short live read today, so I'm just gonna summarize what I remember about the Alexandria interlude, and then we'll just talk a little bit about it and how it ties in with Taylor's story, and call it a day.
Yeah, I wanted to do something, I guess, short and sweet. I just wanted to hear something. I guess I wanted to talk about thought-provoking things.
Yeah, I think if I just talk about the themes of Alexandria's interlude, we can definitely tie it into the story about of Worm, like as a whole, you know?
Okay, that sounds good. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I need to read, like, the whole thing.
No, I don't think so.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
give me the best stuff.
I will give you an overarching summary. But before that, the Tower wanted to mention that...
Eh? Is Tower here already?
No.
Oh.
Actually, Tower might be here already.
Eh?
I don't know who's here. Someone's watching right now. But,
It always feels like somebody's watching me, and I get no privacy. Wow. I'm sorry. You knew that was coming. Come on. Y'all know what you came for.
Right. But the Tower, yes, actually earlier today at
Earlier
8:22,
today?
yeah, mentioned that there is a fan post of an alternate timeline where the Brockton wards and the Undersiders play Among Us.
Yee. And how did that go?
I don't know. You'll have to ask Tower, who actually is here. Hi, Tower.
How are you doing that?
Notifications, probably.
Yeah, but you're like awake at the same time as us. It's unheard of. Okay, anyway,
Well,
I'm sorry.
We kind of stream at the same time.
Every day, do we?
Not every day, but like
Yeah.
when we do stream, we kind of stream around this time.
Oh, I guess we do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because, we're off of work and we're all fed and watered and, we're in good mood.
Okay. Well, you want to dive right into it?
Yes, please.
Okay. Interlude 15 is Alexandria's interlude, and it kind of covers her entire life.
Her entire life.
From when she gained powers up until the present day.
And this is why I didn't want to do the whole thing.
Yes. But as a thematic thing, I would say that Alexandria is very, very similar to Taylor.
Thematically.
Yes.
Was she like bullied?
Not bullied, but somebody who was in a bad situation, who wanted to do the right things.
But ended up doing the wrong thing.
Or, yeah, wanted to do, ends up doing kind of like the wrong things for the right reasons, right? And you can kind of compare and contrast this directly with Taylor, who in the previous 2 chapters had this huge argument about, like,
doing the
right
thing for
what the right thing
reason.
is, yeah, what the right thing is even to do, right? Like, that from Taylor's perspective, she's always making the choice that's best from what she can tell, but Alexandria is going to be an example of what happens if you keep making decisions that you think are good, but that lead you down a really dark path.
Oh.
Yeah?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
the first section is August 20th, 1986.
1986?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, how old is Alexandria?
Alexandria, I believe she's pretty young. I think it's mentioned somewhere in here, but the very first line is, she was being poisoned by people with smiles on their faces. Context-wise, just to summarize this section, this early section, she's a cancer patient and she's dying.
She's being poisoned by people with smiles on their faces. So is she going through chemo or is she being euthanized?
She's going through chemo. Right. She mentioned that she hates those smiles. They're fake. They're pretending to be happy. They're pretending to be cheerful. Right.
I mean, I'm gonna cut the medical provider some slack here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't really want to be like crying in front of your patient.
Yeah.
Just gonna point that out there.
Fair enough.
just gonna point that out. Like what people don't see under the mask, like on the outside, it's like, oh, you seem so calm and collected. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks. And on the inside, I'm just like sweating, sweating.
Yeah. But I know you. I don't think you would enjoy it either if people were always putting on a fake smile too, right?
Well, no, of course not.
Yeah.
I'm an ISFP. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
That's not how we roll.
Somewhere along the line, they had stopped telling her that the chemotherapy would make her better.
Oh.
The smiles
Oh.
had become even more strained. There was more
Ouch.
emphasis on making her comfortable, less explanation of what was going
Oh
on.
no! Oh no, she's dying.
Right?
Oh.
So when her mother came in to check in on her, bringing the mug of heated chicken broth, she pretended to be asleep.
Oh.
She hated herself for it, but she couldn't stand the lies, the fakeness.
How old is she? Is she a teenager here?
She is definitely a teenager here.
There you go.
Yeah. Her name is her mom calls her Becca. Her actual name is Rebecca.
Becca.
Yeah.
She's white, right?
I think she's Hispanic.
Huh. Really?
I think? I'm not sure. I believe her full name is Rebecca Lacosta Brown or something like that. So maybe Hispanic. She also has darker skin. So yeah.
Actually, well, I guess I wasn't expecting that
Yeah.
because I knew people named Acosta who were like that. You
Not
mean-
Acosta, but Lacosta. Here, actually, let me look it up.
Okay, because I'm just like
Alexandria Worm Wiki. Because I actually don't remember this.
I guess I just think it's kind of interesting because like
Yeah, Rebecca Costa Brown.
Costa.
Yeah, or Costa, Costa.
Oh,
But I don't remember what her skin.
brown.
Yeah, brown. So she could be white.
Because I'm just like, oh, Becky with the good hair. It's just,
Mhm.
it's a very Becky Brown. It's such a white girl name.
Yeah.
Like it's such a white blonde cheerleader name. No shade. I'm just saying, like, wow, that's a very like, it's one of those names.
Mm-hmm.
One of those like, oh dear, one of those names.
Okay. Well, I do not know
It's okay.
the exact description.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so she pretends to be asleep, and Mom just says, "You've been so brave." So quiet she was barely audible. And she
Mhm.
thinks to herself that, "I'm not brave. Not at all. I'm terrified. I'm so frustrated I could scream." But she couldn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Teenagers.
Everyone had painted her as being so courageous, so noble and peaceful in the face of the months of treatment. But it was a facade, and she'd passed the point of no return.
I mean, well, huh? How old was Bob when he wrote all this?
Huh, good question. I think he was in his 30s.
Interesting, because I guess how do I put it? I mean, we're in our 30s,
Or
and-
maybe late 20s. He's not that much older than us.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, I'm in my 30s right now, and I kind of hate teenagers right now.
Fair. Yeah.
Because, like, I know it's not supposed to. I know you're supposed to, like, feel, like, sympathy and all that good stuff, but, like, man, Walbo somehow managed to capture, like, the, I want to slap everybody. Like,
Mhm.
that, it's like an anti-empathy where, like, I almost want to, like, slap people.
Just be like, stop being so stupid, right?
Yeah, or I just kind of want to slap sense into people. Like, I get that they're supposed to be, like, relatable and all that, and then, but, like, I just kind of want to hit everybody.
Fair enough. And she's a teenager here too.
Yeah, I do not miss it, man.
Mhm.
Like,
But also, she's a dying teenager, so we can cut her some slack, right?
hey, man, I would have killed for the chance to die when I was a
Yeah.
teenager. But that's a separate conversation.
She, there's a line here that says, she couldn't complain or use her mother's shoulder to cry on because everyone would fall apart if she did. She was their support. And then Mom says, my little superhero, her mother said.
Are you sure about that? That, like, they'd all fall apart without you?
This is at least Alexandria's mentality, Rebecca's mentality, as a dying person, you know? That, like, honestly, everyone else is about to break down as well. And that, like, as long as she can stay, like, stoic and brave, like, nobody else will fall apart either. this is her mentality. Like she's always putting on a front, even as we go through the rest of this chapter, right? Like, and it is a little hypocritical now that you mention. Now that I say it out loud.
Yeah, why do I listen? I never had that much empathy for Alexandria to begin with.
Fair.
I have even less for her now somehow.
Yeah. But yeah,
Teenagers, man.
um,
I don't know how well Bo's. I don't know how well Bo's able to write like characters that. This is actually something I kind of struggle with, like writing dislikable characters who are dislikable on purpose, and I don't know if that's the point here. Exactly, but like so many of like, I can see where the Y butt crowd comes from because like Taylor at least is someone that you can empathize with, and that I guess makes a fair amount of sense. I feel like for some of the other characters, they just come off as being really irritating. Not to be mean, but like, you know, like all, this for instance, right? I'm just like, yeah, I know it's supposed to be melodramatic, but at the same time, I'm just kind of like,
it's just like stop being such a drama queen is kind of your feeling.
Yeah, kinda. I realize that like for a lot of like Bo characters, like there's a little part of me that's just kind of like that just kind of wants to like be like, hey there, it's me, your friendly neighborhood panda. Have you considered just not being a drama queen for just 2 seconds? Do you think you could do that? Just tone it down a little.
Anyway, so mom says, "You've been trying so hard. You deserve better." And just like that, from the tone and the word choice, Rebecca knew she was dying. So, yeah. She kind of has this kind of like, teenage drama moment where she feels relief partially, but she also feels angry because nobody will just be straight with her. She talks about how she can't even cry nowadays because the chemo has just, made her vision blurry and her eyes too dry to cry. And
I didn't know that was a side effect.
Yeah.
Because like so I actually did a short course on oral cancer, which is my wheelhouse. And for us, it's how do I put it? So certain types. So you know how the radiation works by like killing cells, right? A lot of people with oral cancer will oftentimes present with extreme dry mouth because we've like irradiated the shit out of their salivary gland. So it's just not a thing anymore, So I'm just like, this is like, it's interesting because like what did they say
that she can't even cry. It has a hard time crying because of all the chemo.
Yeah. So my question is not that like it's the vision blurry. I don't know about this one either, but it just makes I'm just kind of like wondering to myself, oh hey, did she get her like eyes irradiated? That's like my first thought is just medical thoughts like, oh okay, I guess maybe they did her eyes. Does she have like eye cancer, retinoblastoma? Yeah, that's where my brain's going. But again, that's me because I'm a nerd.
I'm actually not sure what kind of cancer it is, but it is some kind of maybe it's leukemia or like full body cancer.
Well, it doesn't matter. She didn't die.
Right.
I said with like a trace of like not even a trace of disappointment, like a fair amount of it.
She thinks about the fact that she'll never be able to have fast food again, that she'll never be able to read the 3rd book of the Maggie Holt series.
Is that like Harry Potter?
It's like Harry Potter, except so Wild Bo does this thing where he references his other series in his works. So Maggie Holt is actually a character in Pact. But yeah, the 3rd book of the Maggie Holt series, she never had a real boyfriend. It was dumb, but those stupid trivial things hit her harder than the idea that she never see her family, her friends, or her cats again.
It's okay, you're better off without them. I said it because I can.
And so she actually starts crying. The steady tears became sobs. She started moaning without realizing it, quiet and drawn out, trying to replace those painful, lurching sobs with something else. And this is when somebody says, "Do you need morphine?" And there's 2 strangers in her room. One of them is Dr. Mother, and the other one is Contessa.
Who's Contessa?
Right now we don't know very much about Contessa, but she's the person with the path to victory power. Basically, she has the ability to achieve any goal that she sets her mind to.
Well, I have that too, but you don't see me calling myself by a fancy name.
Yeah, but like literally she
Sorry, I'm sorry, I'm just being like, oh, okay, so you're fancy. Oh, so you fancy, huh? I'm being such an asshole. Like, oh, you fancy, huh?
So Dr. Mother increases the morphine drip for Rebecca.
Dr. Mother.
Yep.
And she's one of the cauldron ladies, you said, yes? Sounds really familiar.
Yeah, you've met her before because she's always the person talking. She was the one who explained how cauldron works, the battery. Do you remember her?
Yes, I remember.
She was also present in Legends Interlude. Because remember the Triumvirate is in cahoots with Cauldron, and Legend was had a meeting with Alexandria, Eidolon, and Dr. Mother.
Right.
Yeah.
I cannot get over this fucking name, Dr. Mother.
Rebecca is basically, so you're not supposed to be here. No, the woman replied. To answer your question, I'm a doctor, but not one that works in this hospital. I'm more of a researcher and scholar than anything else. And I came to make you an offer.
An offer she couldn't refuse.
So yeah, she makes Rebecca an offer, privately without her mother being around.
Oh, that is highly illegal! Isn't Rebecca a minor?
Shouldn't my mom be here for this?
Thank you.
Normally, yes, when dealing with a minor. But this is a private deal. Just for you.
Oh.
I don't understand. You've heard about the superheroes on the television? Yeah.
On the television.
There's like a bunch. 20 or something? No less than 50 now. They're appearing all over the world, with thousands upon thousands estimated to appear by the turn of the millennium. I confess, I have something of a hand in that, which is why I'm here. You make superheroes appear? Rebecca could feel herself getting foggy with the morphine. I make superheroes, but it's not easy. The risks are high. The files? And then the teenager on the other side of the bed stepped forward, pulling off her backpack. She reached in and withdrew a file folder. So she basically makes Rebecca this offer. She says that right now, when she's doing her experiments to give people superpowers, only 1 in 7 succeed. 2 of those 7 die. 4
excellent odds.
4 experience unfortunate physical changes.
Unfortunate physical changes.
They're monsters. Yes, they are. But of those 7, statistically, there's 1 who experiences no major physical changes, who gains powers. All anyone has to do is drink one of my formulas. Rebecca nodded. Her eyes flickered over the photographs.
That's okay. So this is like shady as hell.
And I've stumbled on a little side benefit, Rebecca.
Okay. I see why she's offering this to Becky here, because Becky's already dying and less likely to refuse. Woo, that is fucked up!
I mix those potions a certain way, and in not
potions?
Are
you fucking Snape?
Yes.
Oh my god, are you Snape? Snape.
Severus Snape.
Oh my god.
It not only helps reduce the severity of any physical changes, but it also has a restorative effect. The body heals, sometimes just a little, sometimes a great deal. I think we could heal you. Heal me? I'm not asking for money, only that you take this leap of faith with me and help me build something. I know the risks are great. I wouldn't normally ask someone to face them.
You're dying anyway. So
right? Basically.
I mean, so here's you know what else is really shady about this? So this is like shit experimentation, because if she lives by some miracle, you can be like, I produced a miracle. But if she dies, you can just be like, the cancer killed her. Put that on the death certificate. The cancer got her. Yeah. Yep. Well, it's a shame it couldn't save her.
Basically. I mean, the other thing that you have to...
experimentation on dying cancer patients.
The other thing you have to realize is that with Contessa's power, they can just cover up any incidents.
Oh yeah, that's right.
whenever they want. Yeah.
Well, you're as cuddly as a cactus, ain't you, Dr. Mother?
I suspect you don't have much left to lose. Rebecca extended a hand to touch the photos, but it was herself she looked at. Her fingers so bony, her skin mottled
Oh,
yellow.
shoot, I should have drank more of that.
Her skin mottled yellow with bruising around the knuckles. I'm already a monster.
Aw, girl.
She tapped the photo. If it was just this, if you were offering to save my life and make me one of those monsters, I'd still accept. So yeah, that is how Rebecca met Dr. Mother and took on her deal.
Okay.
The next section is August 21st, 1986. To summarize, she took the potion and she didn't turn into a monster. In fact,
We knew that.
In fact, her body is almost perfect now. She says, I feel really light. Her mind operates faster than it ever did. She's able to like process things better than she was ever able to.
Or so she says.
Yeah, let me read an excerpt from here. Even her mind seemed to be operating like a well-oiled machine. Had the drugs and poison made her stupid? No, she'd never been like this. It was like her brain had been a bicycle, and now it was a Ferrari. Even as her eyes flicked over
Said, I'm sorry, can't afford a Ferrari.
Even as her eyes flicked over the interior of the warehouse, she could tell she was processing faster, taking in details, sorting them better, as if her thoughts were no longer limited to the confines of her
So
skull.
what you're saying is she was an Xbox. Or sorry, well, rather, she was more of an Atari, but now she's an Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to flip around the lyrics. I'm sorry, I had to. It was too good. I couldn't not.
Perfect. But yeah, so
And the way you play your game ain't fair.
this is one of the reasons why she picked the name Alexandria, right? Because she named herself after the library of Alexandria.
Because the library burned down. Is that the point?
No, I don't think that was the point. I think the point was that
the library literally went down in flames.
Okay. Well, I guess she does go down in quote-unquote flames later.
Yeah. Wait, why did you call herself Alexandria? Because
her mind operates really quickly. So she has a catalog of like all sorts of information and is able to make inferences really fast.
That's cute, but again, the library burnt down in fucking flames.
There's a little talk about how Dr. Mother has only just started to experiment, that she's only just started cataloging results. And she asked Dr. Mother, "You're gonna keep doing what you did with me?" Rebecca bounced in place. It took so little effort to move so high. She was better. She was alive like she hadn't been for months and months. I'm going to find an alternative as soon as possible. The risks are too high at present. You can understand that what I have is valuable, and every time I approach a potential patient, I face the possibility that I'm going to be exposed. They'll stop you? They'll try. I have her to guard me. The doctor nodded in the direction of the dark-haired girl, but I'd rather work without interference. So basically,
the dark-haired girl.
The dark-haired girl is Contessa.
Right.
Yeah, she's a teenager right now. Something to keep in mind is that basically Dr. Mother is saying, "Oh, I'm experimenting on dying people in order to catalog more results, but I'm looking for an alternative." You know?
Okay.
Spoiler: I don't think they ever really find an alternative.
Then operating on dying people.
Then experimenting on dying people. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So what do we do now? What do I do? I have ideas. Would you object to accompanying me for some time? I could use another bodyguard. I don't even know what I do. Nor do I. But I think it would be a bad idea for you to return home. Rebecca stared down at her hands, clenched and unclenched them. What would her parents say? What would the doctors and nurses say?
They would say that it was a miracle, I guess.
She walked across the empty building. By the time she reached the other end, she was floating, her feet not even touching the ground. She set her hands on the wall, dragged her fingertips through the concrete, then crushed it in her hands. It should have ruined her skin, left scrapes, or torn her fingernails short as they were, but it hadn't. I used to be a shadow of a person, barely there. Now I'm something more in every way. When she turned around, the girl in the school uniform was whispering in the doctor's ear. The doctor spoke. 2 years, then you decide if you want to stay. Rebecca looked down at the concrete dust that had settled in the lines and folds of her hands, met the doctor's eyes, and nodded.
Okay.
So, yeah, she gets powers. She gets, like, invulnerability. She gets flight. She gets, like, super thinking powers.
Mm-hmm.
And she agrees to work for the doctor for 2 years as her bodyguard.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. May 1st, 1988. This is when Alexandria meets Legend and Eidolon and Hero.
Okay.
And this is at the end of the 2-year period, and Alexandria has decided that she has an idea. And I'm going to skim this really quickly, but do you know the PRT, the government of superheroes who are
A bunch of dicks.
the governing body of superheroes that are underneath the civil authority, right?
Is this the same PRT we're talking
Yes,
about?
it is.
Yeah, so the dicks.
The dicks. This was Alexandria's idea.
What, the dicks?
Well, to have like the 4 strongest superheroes in the country willingly submit themselves to governance and law, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. This room, I would argue, contains the most powerful parahumans in the world, Scion accepted. But we know that trigger events tend to produce damaged, disturbed, and unbalanced individuals. Any traumatic event will do that, and a trauma punctuated by the acquisition of superpowers is going to leave a lasting impression.
Mm-hmm.
Trigger events produce more villains. We know this.
Well, I mean, that, honestly, it makes sense because, like, if the trigger events are, like, some of your worst memories,
Mm-hmm.
like I was saying to you this afternoon, listen, if somebody gave me superpowers, I would not be above using them to actually just destroy the world because I don't think we really deserve anything as a species.
People who are traumatized don't usually end up being heroes, right?
It's a little hard to.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it can't be done, but it is very much like...
Oh, thanks, Tower. Tower is saying the library was more famous for having the most knowledge before burning.
I mean, it was, yes, I remember that, but the thing that always just stuck out to me was just like, oh, it burned to the ground.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, I would not name myself after something that burned to the ground.
Mm-hmm. And the Protectorate are the Capes, the PRT are the Human Response Team.
The Capes are the...
Yeah, the Capes work for the Protectorate, and the PRT is the Parahuman Response Team, which consists of civilians, like unpowered civilians. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So essentially, the argument here is that Cauldron is producing more heroes than villains because they can choose who they give powers to, right? Whereas natural trigger events produce more villains than heroes. So that's why Cauldron is doing a good thing here.
Keep telling yourself that.
Mm-hmm. And then Alexandria says, I've looked at the numbers, at the growth, and we're going to get outpaced, and we're going to get outpaced hard. The people with trigger events will outnumber the doctor's clients, or will wind up with 3 to 10 villains for every hero that steps forward. Legend, Eidolon, and Hero were paying attention. The doctor spoke. I summarized this. Let's see.
Okay, can you give me, like, you're good at conceptual stuff. Can you give me, like, a more summary, like, just, like, why is this arc important? Why are you reading all this to me?
Basically, this is kind of a slight slippery slope story, essentially.
Slope story?
Of, like, how Alexandria goes from being somebody who wants to do good, but ends up doing kind of a lot of fucked up shit in order to accomplish her goals, right?
Her goals are...
So here, one of her goals is to keep the level of villainy under control, right? And so in order to do that, she decided to approach the 3 strongest superheroes and tell them, hey, let's start this organization called the Protectorate, and also let's put me in charge as the civilian leader as well.
Okay.
Right? We do what the government's been pushing for. We regulate, and we follow their stipulations and regulations. And Eidolon says that sounds like a bad idea.
So the idea behind the what bad idea?
To listen to the government and to like basically follow their laws and regulations.
So listening to the government is a bad idea?
Mm-hmm.
Because
they, I think Eidolon specifically doesn't want to be like shackled necessarily. It and like doesn't want to like have to be under the control of somebody else when he's doing heroing stuff, basically.
Okay.
But yeah, the idea being that if it's the 4 strongest superheroes and the 4 most famous superheroes, they can also push back where needed and basically get their say in how the government is run, and also because they're the 4 strongest superheroes, other heroes will flock under their banner, right?
Okay.
And as a result, they can organize and get villains under control more. So let me see. Alexandria talks about having an 8-stage plan to incorporate parahumans into society, and having the Protectorate as part of that, right? Mm-hmm. Because not only are they seen as law-abiding citizens, they're superheroes who follow the law, but also she has a plan to like spin public relations, that she has marketing and monetization ideas for Kate. Marketize ideas. And this line here is interesting. America is the most powerful country in the world, and it's a capitalist nation, first and foremost. We'll use that.
The chat can't see this, but I've got my eyebrows raised.
Yeah. So Eidolon is just like, that seems to be getting away from the idea of doing good deeds for the sake of doing good deeds. And Alexandria argues against that. It says, it's inevitable. Given the explosion in parahuman numbers, this situation is going to get out of control, so we need structure and organization. And Legend says, okay, your plan's not going to survive contact with the government. And she says, no, there's one guarantee, which is we're going to form a team, right? That's not under the government at first, and will gradually and gratefully accept involvement and oversight from the government with law enforcement. We'll create a subgroup for minors with powers, and then we can basically, from Alexandria's perspective, she's also saying, by the way, I'm also going to, as my civilian self, become a leader of the Protectorate, right? Become someone who's in charge of the Protectorate. With the idea that civilians are running the Protectorate, that civilians are in charge of the superheroes.
Okay.
Right? Which is very hypocritical. Because you can't just say, oh, look, the civilians are in charge of the Protectorate, when the person in charge of the Protectorate is actually Alexandria herself.
Got it.
Yeah. I expect we'll be able to employ the remainder of the plan because I will be in a position of power in the government. I, my civilian self, can be in charge of the government-sponsored superhero teams within 8 years. She's gonna create body doubles so that nobody will know that her civilian self and her superhero self are the same person.
Okay.
And Hero's just like, it seems so manipulative. Everything people feared we'd be doing. And she says, I have booklets of paperwork you can look over. All of the math, all of the projected issues for the future, and all of my proposals and plans.
Again, I'm going to just one more time throw in that comment about how all of Wild Bo's character, like most of Wild Bo's characters that we see are like thinky to the point where they don't even make any sense.
Yeah, so yeah, this is a super smart Alexandria with like 7-year-long plans for how she's going to establish the Protectorate and then put herself in charge of it. Right? There's some other things. This is your introduction to Doormaker, who is a boy who drank a cauldron vial and is now able to create portals to anywhere in any world. So he can go into alternate realities, parallel universes and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is where Cauldron builds their headquarters in an alternate Earth. And Doormaker is the only one who can let people in and out of it. Then
Oh, okay, got it.
And then after Hero, Eidolon, and Legend leave, Alexandria has a conversation with Dr. Mother, where they basically say, okay, so about the end of the world, what are we doing about that, right? And Dr. Mother says, you have your end of the project. I feel they'll come around. Focus on that, and I'll handle the issues on my side of things. Just need to find the right individual. Someone I can groom, perhaps. Between you and I, one of us is bound to succeed.
Someone I can groom, perhaps.
Uh-huh.
Said with a fair amount of mustache twiddling.
Mm-hmm. So this is a really vague thing that Dr. Mother's saying, but what Dr. Mother's plan is she wants to see if a society run by parahumans is able to function. Like just straight up run by parahumans is able to function.
And she wants to know this because
she's looking for stability. Like this is not in the interlude, but I'm just going to talk about it. Dr. Mother, her plan for stopping the end of the world, for stopping Scion.
She knows Scion's gonna go cray.
She knows that Scion is going to go crazy. Yeah.
Why?
Because this is part of Contessa's interlude. Contessa's the one who killed Scion's partner.
Okay, so Contessa killed Scion's partner, and then they're like, shit, he's gonna be angry.
Yeah, or more like, shit, there's a second one, and he is going to be angry. Yeah.
The second one.
Yeah.
Oops.
So Dr. Mother and Contessa both know that Scion is a danger and that he's going to end the world in like blank years, right?
Why did just because killed Eve?
Yes. Not just because they killed Eve, but because Contessa has her bullshit at the victory power, and
hey, there's a TV show out there called Killing Eve. Did anyone? It's just that it stars Sandra Oh, but it's straight up a TV show called Killing Eve, and I'm just kind of like, lols, where's the bad Photoshop where you need it, where it's like, was it Contessa?
I called her Eve, but it's supposed to be Eden. It doesn't matter.
Whatever.
I think it's interchangeable.
Whatever, it's
Yeah.
the same thing.
Killed Eden.
Oops.
Yeah, they know that Scion's going to end the world at some point in the future, and they don't know how to stop him.
So that's the whole reason for the...
So what their plan is A, create as many parahumans as possible, because maybe one of them will be powerful enough to stop Scion.
They did get that? But
and then second...
not the way they wanted?
Second, create enough stability that parahumans do not kill each other. Right?
Why would they assume that parahumans not kill each other?
Well, they didn't assume that.
No, I know. Why did they think that it was possible?
Because Contessa has the power to do that.
Well, the power to do what?
To achieve any goal she wants, including create a society 20 years from now where parahumans are unlikely to kill each other.
Okay, sure. I guess I'm just unlikely. I'm just like, have you cracked open a history book recently? You don't need superpowers for people to be committing murders.
Right?
Just pointing that out.
But yeah, like this is the in-universe canonical reason why the superheroes and supervillains dynamic exists. Right? Because remember a long time ago, Tattletale was just like, oh, it's just cops and robbers, right? The villains, they get captured and then they escape like maybe a few days later, and then they get to do it all over again, right? This is part of it. The system is designed to not completely lock up parahumans and to not kill any of them.
Because of the prophecy.
Because of the prophecy.
I'm just gonna call it that because it just seems apt.
Because of Doomsday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Dr. Mother's plan is let's try to create a society run entirely by capes. And Alexandria's plan is let's create a society where capes are able to follow the law, like, and are not in charge, right? So both of them are approaching this from two different angles to see what the most stable solution is. Right? There's an interesting conversation where there's an interesting bit at the end where Dr. Mother asks, hey, your 2 years are up in 3 months. Will you be returning to your family? And Alexandria is basically like, I nearly forgot. I've been so busy. And then she asked herself, why didn't she want to go home? Maybe, she realized, it was because every memory of her family was tinged with the feelings of despair, of loss. With the doctor, she had hope.
End chapter?
Not end chapter. There's like, we're maybe like halfway through. So I'm going to
You're going to have to like summarize more because like, I actually, I guess I don't have anything to say about any of this right now.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Do you think that creating the protectorate and putting herself in charge of it, do you think that is the correct thing for her to do? Is it the right thing to do? Because the argument is villainy is going to get out of control, and there's going to be super powerful villains that no hero can handle in the future. What can you do to prevent that, right?
I mean, it really does sound like the best plan right now, honestly.
Right. So, but she's also doing this thing where she puts herself in charge of a government organization, right? Being a little corrupt.
How's that? Is it really that much different than the government we have right now?
Fair. So...
Sorry, I'm just like, sorry to put it that way, but I'm just kind of like...
I guess if that's your thoughts on it, like, it's good to get that on mic.
Is it?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Like, you say you don't have any thoughts on this, but it's clear that you have some thoughts on this.
Do I?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Because, spoiler alert, Coil is working with Dr. Mother.
Huh.
And Coil is Dr. Mother's quote-unquote groomed candidate.
I thought you were about to say son.
Not son, but the person she chose to conduct her experiment. Right?
The experiment being...
The experiment being, what happens if we put a city under parahuman control?
Right.
What if the parahumans were in charge entirely? Right?
Right.
So, yeah. Do you think Taylor seizing control of a territory under Coil? Do you think that is a good thing too? Is that the correct thing to do?
Tough call.
Mm-hmm.
Really tough call, because, like, I mean, well, the world's gone to shit, basically.
Sure.
So, I don't think it's, like, so terrible, I guess, that, like, enforcers are stepping up to do this job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could be worse.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say, because, like, I've already, read a little bit of this with you, but read in quotations.
Right.
So it's not like I have a completely untainted opinion on this.
True.
All of the arguments have thus been presented from the side of the villain. So far, it just almost seems like that's really the only. I know he's trying to give us like different perspectives with like the interludes and all that, but it's not that he's doing a poor job. It's just that's not what's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I'm getting from this. What I'm getting is just what I feel like personally from looking at all this is that it's not possible to have an unbiased opinion because you presented a very brainy, massively like calculated out solution for like why like the parahumans should be in charge, I feel like it's just not fair to ask for a different opinion because we can't offer one.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's maybe like a take that no one's heard before. But it's just, it's that bias thing. So I just feel like it's not possible to have an unbiased opinion anymore.
Right. I mean, that's fine. It's just it's a subject of discussion. You know what I mean?
Well, what is?
Just
the bias thing?
Yeah, the bias thing. Or just like whether it's right or wrong, even if it's being presented as
It's
being correct.
Well, yeah, because we're only shown all of these pro arguments from the side of the people who understand it and the side of the people who are helped by it. So basically what we're being treated to is a like, here's all the reasons why like we should question the current system. So, we're not getting both sides of the debate. We are getting the sides from the heroes, but like ultimately the narrative that Worm is trying to present is that you should question villainy and that perhaps the bad guys are the good guys. That's kind of what I'm getting from the overall like thing of the story.
Right.
That bad is good and good is bad.
And we're kind of seeing right here that Alexandria, the supposed good guy, is not really doing great things either, right?
Are you sure about that?
But like she is doing what she thinks is right.
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing. Like this story, like this is about everybody doing what they think is the right thing, and whether that is good or not, like that's also like, how do I put it? Like, well, it's really hard to put into words. Maybe you need to ask me a different kind of question because it's just, what was your original question again?
I mean, originally I asked you, is it right for her to put herself in charge of the protectorate?
So far, it seems like everybody is doing this.
That everyone's doing the right thing, quote unquote.
Well, no. Have we seen any people skulk off to do the Batman thing? Are there any Batmans in this story?
I think at this point in the story, everyone's a Batman.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Batman didn't take charge of everything. Batman's kind of like...
No. That's what I mean. Like, at this point, Alexandria said, oh, we Big Four should, like, team up and then take charge, essentially. But prior to this point...
everybody was doing the vigilante thing.
Exactly. Chaos, right? There wasn't, like, the superheroes actually did not follow the laws.
Okay, let me think here. I feel like I want to get to a point that I want to make, but I don't know how to make it. It's just... like, what kind of a narrative is Wildbow trying to tell us here? That it just... this is not like necessarily a commentary on the writing, because again, I get it, this is your first work, like, I can't say anything. I've literally only completed one book of my series. It took me 2 years of working. Like, I'm still working full-time while doing it, but like, so far, the kinds of perspectives that we are seeing in this story are all, like, most of the perspectives are from people who do a lot of heavy thinking with their heads, are probably, like the kind of people who watch the kinds of documentaries that Netflix categorizes as cerebral. These are very cerebral people making like very airtight arguments, and with us, the audience, not living in this world and not having to live under the ramifications. We don't see a lot of ordinary people. Like, Sierra might be one of them, right? But other than Sierra, do we really get to see a lot of normal non-capes or
not a whole lot? Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying we're missing the other half of the argument. And Sierra is not a good example either, because she is working for Taylor, aka she's on the villain side. We're not seeing any arguments against this system.
You're talking about
this kind of system,
Hold on, there's two systems here, right? There's the protectorate system, and then there's the warlords.
They are the same thing.
And you think they're the same thing regardless, right?
They are the same thing. It's still a bunch of parahumans who are putting themselves in charge of a bunch of people. We are hearing the perspective of... we are hearing might makes right from the people who have the might.
Okay.
We're not hearing
we're getting somewhere here.
We're not hearing enough from Danny, for instance, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Danny, the only bit we hear is what happened with his perspective on Taylor, which it is relevant to the story, but at the same time, we are missing a massive argument. And I think that's one of the problems I'm having with some of these interludes, is like, I'm getting a little bored of hearing like the heroes should be in charge and getting that argument. I'm not seeing a lot of like...
fair. And like the hero, I agree with you totally. It is the same thing, right?
It's the exact same thing.
And like, then my question to you is, could that system have worked where civilians are in charge of the capes?
This is a tough one. I don't think Okay. Let me tell you about the dental board for a second there.
Right.
The dental board, let me Google it real fast because it's late at night and I can't remember everything. But the dental board is made up of a mix of board composition. I'm sorry. Short-term memory. I'm supposed to know this like off the top of my head because of the license. I took the exam for licensure, but there we go. The Dental Board of California consists of 15 members, 8 practicing dentists, 1 registered dental hygienist, 1 registered assistant, and 5 public members. Public meaning they do not work in dentistry. This is a mix of people. So, you know, the dentists who join the board all have to be very, like, they have to have been actively practicing for 5 years before their appointment. They have to be, like, really good, right? So here we're getting everybody. We are getting like, every dentist is going to be a little bit different, but we have 8 dentists who are either practice owners or associates. It doesn't matter which one. Usually they're practice owners. Some of them can be professors. I think it's actually encouraged for some of them to be, at least I think 1 or 2 to be professors. Right. But you have the doctors, you have a hygienist, you have an assistant, and then you have 5 people. So you have everybody being represented. And it's significant that there are 5 non-medical, non-dental, like public members, like average Joes like you, can tell the board that regulates and oversees the entire body of dentists what they can do. And the dental board also covers how assistants can act and how hygienists can act. And it says RDH and RDA. So these are actually mid-level positions. There are hygienists who have the capability to practice like at a very high degree and only need like don't need the dentist to actually be in the office. They just have to be like around and available to be contacted. I think I can't remember the specifics. Again, nitty gritty. The RDA, there's many levels of dental assistants. Unregistered is DA. RDA means you've taken 1 certification course, and then there's RDA2, like RDA EF. Like there's several levels. RDA EFs are so competent that they are very, very close to what I would say mid-level providers are. The only thing they can't do is do anesthesia, like inject anybody and actually perform the restorative dentistry. Everything else that they can do. So if you want a real board with really good oversight, you can't have it be just humans or just parahumans, because humans and parahumans, humans are flawed creatures as it is. Parahumans are traumatized humans with hangups. Like, okay, take me. I have CPTSD. What if the board was all me with superpowers? Bad. Right?
Right.
What if the board was all me with no superpowers? Also bad. Humans are given 2 cycles of oppression and warring and discrimination.
Right.
With such imperfect creatures that you're trying to govern, if you want to govern everyone, you need equal representation. So putting one group in charge of any of the other risks high levels of discrimination and doesn't make sense.
Okay, I see. So
you need a mixed board.
This is your answer to civilians being in charge of parahumans, right?
Civilians should not be.
That wouldn't work either.
No, because they cannot understand what the parahumans are going through. Let me ask you this: what if it was what if the dental board was 15 average Joes like you who don't have any training in charge of, like, I don't know, of several thousands upon thousands of people like me who have gone through, who have sat the exams, who have to like go through the testing every year? Is it fair for you to be imposing testing restrictions on me when you don't know? Exactly.
Yeah, right.
It's the same thing. You can't do that.
Yeah. Okay.
So basically we're here. This is a system where it seems like it's really well thought out and they present a very tight argument the way that a lawyer does, but in your heart, you know something is wrong.
Right. Because
that's what this is.
The civilians being in charge of parahumans, not going to work, right? But also Alexandria being in charge of
everybody and saying, oh, it's okay, I wear a different hat. That's not okay.
That's not okay either. Yeah.
No, none of this is okay.
Okay.
And she's acting like a hero, but really the heroes and villains are all the exact same. In at least in
there's
this
no
world.
difference. They're just parahumans.
Exactly.
Right?
In this world, as far as I can tell, there was actually no difference between the heroes and the villains. Only I would say your sense of superiority may be what differentiates you. That the heroes have, I feel like a lot of the heroes, look at Nubmaster, for instance. A lot of the heroes have like a superiority complex, and they think that because they got their fancy police badges, at least later on, that they can do better. Alexandria is the one who first suggests the idea of a fancy police badge. There's not even a licensure system. Like, I have to do a licensure system, and I'm subject to the laws.
Actually, that's kind of true.
There's no licensure system.
If you remember the battery interlude, right? Assault was basically just like allowed to enter the protectorate.
And he's a dick.
Yeah.
He's the worst. He's literally the worst. Like hitting on a teenager while he's
Right.
an actual adult. Ugh. I know blurred lines, blah blah blah. But either way, that whole interlude was gross. And they're like, yeah, it's not great, but why don't we do it? And did Battery get any say in it? No. Where was the board? The board should have been able to intervene and help her.
Exactly. Right?
And I'm putting it in terms of like this stuff because I've been taking dental CEs all day, so this kind of stuff is fresh in my head as like from my privileged position as a healthcare provider, as like, you know, somebody who has I guess special powers. I have things that I'm allowed to do, that I can do, that I have the skill set to do that you do not, and I've had to go through the gauntlet to get here. So there's no registry system. Think about MHA, My Hero Academia. They have to go through a licensure system.
Yeah.
They like Horikoshi like actually has them go through a licensing exam, and they have to go through vocational training the way that I did. There's a reason why like shonen manga really appealed to me, because like the exam system in East Asia is like kind of I'm East Asian, I'm Chinese,
Yeah.
my mom brought me up on this. There's all this sort of stuff that Parahumans is missing. It is actually just a massive free-for-all. It's just who has the biggest power and the biggest ego. That's who gets to be in charge.
Yeah. Okay, Tower says, yeah, the system was rigged from the start. Yeah. And unlike in Marvel or DC, the Parahumans universe doesn't have any unpowered heroes. Everybody has a power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no Batman.
Yeah, or like
Batman has no powers.
if Batman existed in the Parahuman universe, he would be a tinker.
No. There's no Batman has no superpowers. I'm talking about Batman. He has no powers.
Okay, he has money.
Exactly.
Okay, fine.
He doesn't have any superpowers. And again, like, this is what makes Batman cool. That's just, I'm that person.
But okay, he has his Batarang, he has his Batmobile.
He made things. Yes.
Yeah, he's a tinker.
Okay, fuck you. First of all, fuck you. And second of all, no, Tinker is not a thing in DC or Marvel as far as I know. So, I mean, I'm not even qualified to go on this particular nerd rant. But like, no, I'm one of those people who's like, no, that's what makes Batman the best, because he doesn't have any powers and he gets to sit at the same table as all the others. What up? He the best.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, what else did you want to talk about besides this whole system thing? Like,
so,
what else is important about this interlude?
I think... Hold on, let me read what Tower said. I'm pretty sure Assault was similar age to Battery since he went into the ward program.
Okay,
yeah.
All right, but he was still a villain.
He was still a villain, and he was still kind of an asshole about it.
Yeah. Listen, I commit malpractice. I mean, it's hard for me to go to jail. They'll just like strip you for license, but you know.
Let me skim over this. Any interest in Behemoth? Because Alexandria...
What's Behemoth again?
Behemoth is one of the Endbringers. Do you want his description?
Was he the Earth element one?
Yes.
Because I remember we went over water, we went over sea and sky, but not Earth.
Yeah, the Earth element guy. Here, let me give you a quick description.
I mean, I imagine he's big because his name is Behemoth, or is he the size of a mountain?
45 feet tall at the very least.
Oh, so that's a no.
Climbed forth from underground. Straight might have been too generous. He was built like a caricature of a bodybuilder or a bear-human hybrid. He had rippled with muscle, his skin gray, thick and leathery, like the hide of a rhinoceros or elephant.
Why are we talking about this?
I mean, just in case you wanted his description.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's kind of a...
He's huge.
He looks like a mountain troll. That's it. He's a mountain troll.
He's big, he's huge, he looks muscly.
He's a mountain troll from Harry Potter. Or the cave troll from like Lord of the Rings. He's like that. He's a troll. He's a troll.
Alexandria legend, hero, and Eidolon fight him, and they don't win, right? In fact, he can bypass the mountain effect, and this is where she gets... This is where I think she gets destroyed by energy. Behemoth has the ability... what was it? Yeah, fire, sonic, lightning, kinetic energy too. He doesn't have just individual powers. They were all the same power, which is he manipulates energy with no Manton limitation. So yeah, this is the first time that she had to fight. They had to fight Endbringer. This was the first appearance of the Endbringers.
The first appearance of the Endbringers is after they had their little powwow and made their superhero group.
Sometime after that, yeah. This was in 1990.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. It's 1992. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that God's punishing you for this.
I mean, you have to remember that the reason Behemoth appears is because of Eidolon.
Oh, that's right.
Yep. But this is immediately following a conversation where Alexandria is saying, "Oh, we're gonna get big scary villains that we can't deal with. That's why we need to organize." Right?
And that was almost prescient, and um, so they appear because of Eidolon.
Yes. So almost in a way, almost a self-fulfilling prophecy.
I don't. Okay, so this is a little bit conspiracy theory tinfoil hat here, but that's not even. I think maybe I wonder. Did anybody suggest that perhaps this is actually what triggered the Endbringers appearing at all? That like, that this idea came to Eidolon around the same time because of what Alexandria suggested, and that's where
it's very possible actually. Because like the thing is, Eidolon's in on the secret, right? The end of the world secret.
Yeah.
So Eidolon this whole time has been telling himself, I need to get stronger. I need to fight stronger foes so that I can help prevent the end of the world, right? And that strong desire is what created the Endbringers.
Yeah. Right. So I'm almost you know what I'm trying to say, right?
Not quite.
No, okay. Just that conversation that he had with Alexandria is what triggered the Endbringers to appear.
I think it was a constant pressure, or like the constant pressure to get stronger, that led to it.
Sure, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Yes, I get it.
Yes, like I said, tinfoil hat moment.
Yeah. Okay. I kind of like that idea that like that conversation might have been the start of the Endbringers.
Where they came from.
Yeah. Tower says there's a ton of awesome art of the Endbringers.
I think we've seen some of it.
Yeah, we saw some of it.
The Leviathan
One was really good. And then Tower says, Eidolon's power gives him what he needs, and he needed stronger opponents. So, yeah.
Man, I want a power that gives me what I need.
Right.
Never have to cook again. Although I like cooking.
Mm-hmm. Okay. January 18th, 1993, the PRT becomes a thing. She shakes hands with President Griffin.
Peter Griffin becomes president. This truly is the worst timeline.
It's James Griffin, but yeah. You can imagine Peter Griffin. That's fine. Eidolon gets sworn in.
Eidolon gets sworn in.
Yeah. And then the Protectorate of the United States of America becomes a thing. Then we skip forward to September 15th.
Are there any consequences for people in the superhero board for like going cray and losing their shit? Are there any consequences for like I'm just wondering.
Probably.
Because so if you do something wrong, like in real life, like if you do something wrong, like the dental board, or like if you're a doctor, like the medical board can strip you of your license if they determine that you have fucked shit up sufficiently, right? Is there anything like this in the PRT?
Well, I'm pretty sure, yeah. Because remember that Armsmaster was under house arrest, essentially.
Yeah, Nubmaster.
Yeah.
I almost forgot about that guy.
So yes, there are consequences. September 15th, 2000. This is when the triumvirate, or the quadrumvirate, or whatever. When the
horrible name.
When the four of them fight Siberian for the first time. And this is where Hero dies, if you remember.
Kind of. How did he die? How did he die?
He died to Siberian.
Yeah. Did she like kind of like
she just
like a dog like? Rrr.
She smashed his face into a wall, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oops.
So yeah, we open up in a tense situation where Siberian has a victim. And then Hero says, well, why hasn't Siberian tried to leave? And Legend couldn't maintain eye contact. She has a victim. And Alexandria kind of accuses Legend of saying, you better be fucking kidding me, or I swear. Because he left the victim alone with Siberian, right?
Oops.
And Legend says, stop, Alexandria. It was the only way to guarantee she'd stay put. If we moved too soon, she'd run, and it would be a matter of time before she racked up a body count elsewhere. And Alexandria thinks to herself, I'm in this to save lives, sacrificing someone for the sake of the plan? She knew it made sense, that it was even necessary, but it left her shaken, a sick feeling in the pit of her stomach.
Okay.
So yeah, here we see that she still has kind of this conscience, right? this idea that she's doing this to save lives, but she's let someone take a victim, take a hostage, in order to reduce casualties. Right? So they try to contain Siberian, and they find that the victim's already dead.
Oops.
Yep. There would be no saving him even if Eidolon manifested healing abilities.
Because
he dead.
Oh, right. Oh, because he's already dead.
He's already dead. Yeah.
Oops.
Alexandria fights Siberian, and she doesn't even bunch a hair.
Bunch a hair.
Budge a hair. Okay. Legend shoots lasers at Siberian. She doesn't even flinch. Nothing affects her at all.
Not even the Manton effect.
Yeah.
Did I say that right? I was joking. I'm sorry. It's
yeah.
just I always hear Manton. I was like, oh no, it's the Manton effect.
It's already been revealed to you. Siberian is Manton.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Oh, right. Here we go. Here's how Hero dies. Alexandria dove to intervene to guard her teammate, but Siberian was faster. She reached Hero first, her hands plunging through his chest cavity.
Oops.
When she pulled her arms free, she nearly bisected him. Eidolon screamed, flying close to scoop up the 2 pieces of Hero, carrying them outside.
I shouldn't laugh. I'm sorry. There's something kind of funny about this.
It's pretty funny, yeah. So they keep fighting. They're losing. Eidolon tries to heal Hero and to also teleport people out. To throw something else at Siberian, hoping that it would affect her. And then Alexandria gets in close, hoping to stop Siberian, and her visor fell free, clattering to the ground. Then she felt the blood. Saw, in her one remaining good eye, the chunks of her own face that were falling to the ground around her.
Wait, so Siberian tore out her face?
Yep.
Ooh.
Bouncing off her right breast, the spray of blood. It had been so long since she'd felt pain. Legend called out the order and buried her in containment foam, hiding her from sight. Buried. So, yeah, Alexandria loses an eye against Siberian.
Did she get it back?
Nope.
Oh.
September 16th, 2000. Alexandria sat in the hospital. Eidolon's healing had only been able to do so much. She held a glass eye in one hand, the remains of her other eye in the other. And then they talk about the fact that Siberian is William Manton. And William Manton was working with Cauldron earlier on in this chapter. So Alexandria is basically like, why? And she says, I don't know what predicated it. His daughter's in our custody. One of our failures. So he gave his daughter the formula without the usual preparations and procedures. And it didn't go well for her. And when it didn't go well for her, he took a vial for himself and ran away.
So the thing that didn't go well for her, so they were trying to. It's like the situation with Alexandria then, like trying to save the daughter.
Yeah.
Was that the idea?
I don't think it was even to save the daughter. It could have been a gift from a father trying to buy his daughter's affections or her forgiveness. So I think.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. I think he did something that messed up his own daughter. And then he tried to give his daughter powers to save her. And then when that backfired and killed her, he took a vial and ran away himself.
Oh. Well.
Yeah. The resemblance between Siberian and Manton's daughter is subtle, but it's there. And the footage from Hero's home...
But why's she naked, though?
Right?
I will never get over that. Like, listen, man, if I die, I better hope my daddy doesn't imagine me naked.
Yeah. So, he took... Manton took a projection power sample. So it's likely that he wasn't transformed. And then Alexandria slams her hand on the stainless steel table beside her cot. I will not condone the loss of life for your ulterior motives. I will not let monsters walk free to profit from the fear they spread.
Is that your version of, like, the Hippocratic Oath?
Not
Most people
quite.
are friends.
This is following. Basically, Alexandria's just like, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna stop Manton, right? And Dr. Mother is just like, we're not going to. We're gonna let him run around and like cause chaos. Because if we do that, more people will join your protectorate.
Do you see this face I'm making right now?
Uh-huh. And yeah, Alexandria is just like, no, fuck that.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. I'm gonna take a that's real fucked up for like 500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right, the doctor said. I must be more shaken by Manton's betrayal than I thought.
No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're absolutely not. You're just saying that as like a cover. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. It's like where I'm just like, I'm sorry. I don't remember. It's like if somebody says, I don't remember what I said. I was drunk. I'm sorry. I was really upset. I totally.
Right. Forget
No,
I said
didn't.
anything.
No, you didn't. You're fine with it. You're totally cool. You're totes cool with this.
If Alexandria saw a hint of falsehood in the doctor's body language, she convinced herself it was the strain of one eye compensating for the job she'd used to perform with two.
Yeah, so she knows too, huh?
Yep. You realize what this means, don't you? The doctor asked. That we're no longer doing more good than evil? Alexandria replied, bitter. No, I still feel we're working for the forces of good. Manton was a selfish man, unhinged.
Okay.
The exception to the rule.
Keep telling yourself that.
Alexandria couldn't quite bring her to believe it. No, this means we simply need to step up our plans. If we're going to go forward with the Terminus project, we need to advance
The Terminus project.
the overall efforts with Cauldron, and we need the Protectorate effort to succeed on every count. Or we need your project to work out, Alexandria replied. The doctor frowned. Or that. We still have to find the right individual. Or make him.
Or make him.
Yep. By the way, Coil was given his powers by Cauldron. Yeah. So...
yeah, it's not shocking at all.
Not shocking at all. April 10th, 2008. And we're near the end, by the way. We see a war-torn battlefield. And Alexandria is walking through it, her cape and hair fluttering behind her. She checks a few bodies, dead. And then she sees a young man. His stomach was a bloody mess, and he was gasping for every breath. Tu gustaría vivir? She asked.
What?
In the locals' Anglo-Spanish pidgin. Do you want to live? His eyes widened.
That's a very villain question to ask somebody.
Right? His eyes widened as he seemed to realize she was there.
Why didn't she just... I'm sorry, this is me, Panda. I would have been like, come with me if you want to live. Because I'm Panda, and I roll like that.
Yes. Excellent. His eyes widened as he seemed to realize she was there. Eres Nguara Inga? No, she replied. She brushed his hair out of his face with one hand. No an angel. Not an angel. Vivir. He breathed the word before slumping over.
You said Vivier?
Yep.
Devil?
To live. He wanted to live.
Okay.
Yeah. So she swept him up in her arms quickly and carefully. Then, keeping an eye out for any falling mortars, she quickly ascended into the air. She was at the cloud level when the door opened, and she stepped into the brightly lit corridors of Cauldron's testing laboratory and strode down to the cells. There were 30 cells filled with subjects. 31 now. The cells didn't have doors because, I'm just going to summarize this, because there is a prison guard named the Custodian who's just like this invisible mass of force who can keep all the prisoners inside of their cells.
Okay.
Yeah. Only 2/3 of the prisoners were monstrous, affected by the formulas.
Oh, okay. Only 2/3. That's great. Listen, how would you feel if I said to you, only 2/3 of my feelings don't fall out?
Others would go free with alterations to their memories. Some would have fatal weaknesses inserted into their psyches, reason to hesitate at a crucial moment against a certain foe. But they would be alive. That was the most important thing. They had been destined to die, in places where the wars never stopped, or where plague was rampant, rescued from the brink of death. Entering one cell, she brushed the hair from the young man's face once more, then propped him up while she administered the sample the doctor had left for her. She stepped back while he convulsed, his wounds filling in, his breathing growing steady enough for him to scream. His eyes opened, and he stared at her wide-eyed, still screaming as sensations returned to him and pain overwhelmed every sense. It's okay, you're alive. She forced himself to smile as reassuringly as she could.
In an echo of the chapter.
Right? It's an echo of the beginning of the chapter. So long as they lived, they could have hope. Living was the most important thing. And here I am, administering poison with a smile on my face. She turned and walked away. So, the final part of the chapter is the conversation with Legend Eidolon and Dr. Mother that appeared in Legend's chapter. Most of it is just a redo of what happened before. Basically, we once again realized that Legend did not know that Manton is linked with Siberian, but everyone else did, right? Mm-hmm. And then Alexandria basically like brushing things off and sending Legend home. Mm-hmm. Eidolon takes a booster shot of of cauldron vials or whatever in order to make himself stronger. And he says, the boosters aren't cutting it anymore. I'm getting weaker. Powers are taking longer to reach the peak, and their maximum strength isn't what it used to be. If this keeps up, then I won't be able to offer anything during this end of the world scenario. And then, after Legend has left, Eidolon says, you were too calm. I was worried you'd miss my warning. Very clever, burning the words into the paper in front of me. Thank you. Was I convincing? You managed to feign skepticism over this apocalypse scenario, Alexandria spoke. Well, that's the most important thing, the doctor spoke. He's suspicious. He knows or suspects we've been lying to him, Alexandria said. Unfortunate. Will he expose us? No, I don't think he will. But he may distance himself from us to lower the number of opportunities we have to see his doubt for what it is. We'll manage, the doctor replied. In the worst case scenario, we'll explain the circumstances, explain our plan. He won't like it, Eidolon spoke. But he'll understand, the doctor said. If the Terminus project is a success, the end of the world isn't a concern. And I believe we will succeed. So, summing things up, Alexandria says, the Protectorate is proving to be a failure. Recent events haven't given me much hope in that regard. Basically, she's saying the Protectorate's not hoping to stop villains from rampaging and from people getting too powerful, right?
Right.
So that leaves only my end of things, the doctor said. Coil, Eidolon said. And if he fails? Ever the pessimist, Alexandria said. This revelation about the possible end of the world has decimated our projected timeline. We don't have time to prepare or pursue anything further, the doctor said. If we assist him... No, the doctor spoke. If we assist him, there's no point. In short, Alexandria leaned forward, resting her elbows on the table. He doesn't even know it, but everything rests on his shoulders.
Coil?
Coil, yep. Basically, the Protectorate has failed to keep things under control, which means Coil's plan to take over the city and have a city under parahuman control is their only route forward to keeping things from going haywire.
I see. So Coil's their great okay.
Yeah. So now you kind of get a...
Yeah, and once again, you guys are really biased. You're just like, oh no, only another parahuman is going to be able to do this. Mm-hmm. They're severely underestimating regular people.
That's a fair point. But also, parahumans are kind of out of control.
Right, so, they're taking a fight fire with fire approach to this.
Yeah, that's true.
It's almost, and I don't even want to say fight fire with fire. It's a little more like fight poison with more poison, Mm-hmm. This is a really shitty strategy.
You actually mentioned something interesting with the underestimating regular humans thing. Mm-hmm. Because Jack Slash was defeated by a regular human.
Who?
Jack Slash?
No, yeah. Who defeated him?
Just a PRT officer or a PRT soldier.
Yeah, how was he just shot?
He wasn't shot necessarily. He was containment foamed.
Well, there you go, right?
Yeah.
Don't go underestimating like normal humans. Normal humans are capable of a lot.
Yeah. Like we can go more into that subplot later, but essentially the reason Jack Slash never dies in a fight ever is because his shard works so closely with him that it tells him what the other capes are doing. So he has like the supernatural instinct to know what other capes are about to do or where they are or what their plans are.
Right. And so the person to defeat him was not a cape.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thematic. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I feel smart. I like how I said that without knowing that.
It's interesting, yeah. What do you think of Alexandria?
Shit.
She is kind of full of shit.
She's full of shit.
But I'll be honest, Taylor is too.
We're humans. I feel like that's part of what makes us human. Being full to the gills of shit.
Mm-hmm.
It just comes with the territory, you might say. But
Hey. All right. Well, that was one chapter that lasted way longer than I expected.
Well, you wanted to read a lot of things to me.
Yeah, fair.
You wanted to read a lot of things to me. I feel like there's actually a lot more to be said on this, but like, yeah, like I feel like you actually spent a lot of time going over the main idea, going over like you actually for once went over a shit ton of details instead of just going after the main ideas, which is very unusual for you.
Did I?
You kind of did. You insisted on reading me individual passages and not giving me a general overview like I thought you might.
Okay. My bad. I was also a little unfamiliar with the chapter, so I was just reading through it.
I mean that's fair, but you know, it's like, oh, he totally. So you are capable of like detail stuff.
Meh. Yeah, I'm usually more of a big picture person.
It's so surprised that you were like, oh, let me give you all the little details. That's what I was expecting.
Okay, well, hopefully, I don't know. Did you prefer the details? No, right?
Not here, no. I just wanted like the main ideas because like I don't give a rat's ass about Alexandria. Like I'll be perfectly honest with you, I don't give a rat's ass about this woman. But like you said, that there were some interesting concepts to be mined here, and so I did want to do that, but like we didn't have to like go that far into the nitty gritty.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I hope it was interesting enough for you.
It's okay. I feel like there's better main ideas. But I'm not good at main ideas. That's the problem.
Okay, fair enough. Whew. All right.
I guess we have to call it.
Yeah, I'm pretty tired.
All right.
I mean, if you have any final thoughts, feel free to say it. If anyone has any questions or like comments,
AKA Tower, do you?
Yeah, no, Tower. If you have anything you want to say, feel free. But otherwise, I think we're gonna call it a night. Yeah. All right. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
Good night, everyone.